not existed in the past in the health sector. We have been a very medicalized perspective on health. We thought a primary health center, one medical officer. We need a nursing perspective and we need a communitized perspective. The community worker and the nursing personnel making a difference to the health system, we need to accept. The emerging stewardship and governance challenges, many of them have got thrown up. Building capacity for public health. IPH is one example. There are a host of examples. Many doctors in this room, a point which was made that untied funds are given, but many doctors are unwilling to spend it because they don't know what to do with it. Quite a problem well understood. Therefore, the intervention which the NRHM has started with, in partnership with the best of institutions in the country, we started a 1-year postgraduate diploma in public health management, open only to MBBS regular doctors of government and contract doctors of government. The intent is to create a public health cadre in every state through this process. I am happy to report that this year we've had about 266 nominations from the states. Madhya Pradesh nominated 43 doctors with a clear instruction that all of them will be sent to districts as district health officers after they do the program. Orissa has started an institution, the Public Health Foundation of India has started regional partnerships. They have started in Orissa. Gujarat already has an institution. The CMC Vellore will join us in this next year. The PGI Chandigarh has already joined it. JIPMER Pondicherry has joined the program. NIHFW is part of the program. All India Institute of Hygiene is part of the program. We are trying to have more partners to do this postgraduate diploma in public health because we really feel that we were never prepared and geared to handle the public health challenges. Public health is different from what we have been trying to do so far. Unless and until we do that, there are limits to where we will reach. Whole lot of other issues, including managing larger outlays of finances. Very rightly, some of the studies point out about growing corruption. That is an issue because here are systems which have worked in a particular way in the past. To break the monopoly of information, to break the monopoly of transparency, to break the monopoly of ability to spend, whole lot of systems and institutions are needed, and that's why the need for community monitoring to get universal. It is a part of the approved mandate of the National Rural Health Mission. We tried a pilot in 9 states. We felt that it needed to be taken forward. Yes, there are ups and downs. In certain states, we get the support. In certain other states, we don't get as much support as we get. But there is no going away from a larger role for community monitoring to hold public systems accountable. Very rightly, a question was asked. Many of us sitting in this room are middle class. If somebody in our family falls ill, why do we go to a private hospital? The answer to it is, as many of you mentioned, that the public systems in many parts of our country did get affected on the quality standards, a whole lot of issues. But none of them are insurmountable. The confidence we have of the last 5 years, looking at a few government hospitals in a few states, in most of the states, that people vote with their feet if the public system starts delivering services. My own state of Bihar, the average attendance of patients in OPD in block PHCs was about 32, 34 per month, a patient a day. Last 3 years, without fail, the patients have never been less than 4,000 to 5,000 per month. If public systems offer basic facilities, doctors, drugs and diagnostics, if the quality of services, again the issue of cleanliness, well-maintained hospitals, many hospitals have in fact just been granted the NABH accreditation. We are insisting on NABH ISO accreditation for all government hospitals, primary health centers, because unless and until we push them to maintain high standards, and unless and until we have systems of community monitoring which hold them accountable for what they have to provide, unless and until we have a regulatory frame to help us to move in that direction, there are limits to where we reach. This again, I think, is known to most people. The Joint Learning Initiative of the Harvard University came up with a very interesting human resource action, 9 key elements which they felt are necessary to make a good system work. Again, when we do the analysis in many states, we find a lot of them did not receive the attention that they deserved. We've tried to push it, but again, a whole long way to go. Developing systems of management of health system. Having a doctor is not equal to a health system. We still need a lot of managerial functions. What the National Rural Health Mission has tried is to provide for skills of MBAs as program managers at block level, at district level, at state level, of accounts and finance managers, chartered accountants, MCOMs, of MCAs and BCAs as data managers. A point about IT which was asked, I'd only respond humbly by saying that yes, we took some time because there was a multiplicity of MISs. We are collecting information about 4,000 data elements, but analyzing probably not even 20 of them. We are now collecting only for 230 elements, but ensuring that we analyze each one of them. It's now available in the public domain. I'm happy to report of the 643 districts, all of them report on the HMIS every month, every quarter. We hope to move towards a facility-specific reports for purposes of seeing which facilities are doing good work and which are not. Online, it should be available in the next couple of months because all the data is now available facility-wise. In many other states, it's already available for analysis and for action thereon. The issue of building capacity, reform doesn't happen by itself. Reform has to be made to happen. Traditional governments do not have all the skills that we need to deliver good programs. Traditional governments never recruited managers. Traditional governments don't even have public health cadres. Traditional governments have not had IT skills as regular employments in government. They don't have planning skills as regular employment opportunities. Unless and until we reinvent public systems to build public management skills, there are limits to how far we will go. Many of these skills we've introduced on contract, but in the hope that over time, these become legitimized in public systems as skills that are required to run public systems. We can't really provide for care without building these clearly required management skills in the system. And from that point of view, building capacity for it is a requirement. The issue of communitization, again, I think one paradox has been that we have the Gram Panchayat system. I am all for the local government, it's a constitutional mandate, but what we often don't take note of is the requirement even for habitation level leadership to have some articulation of their demands. Homogeneity of communities exists at habitation level, but in the course of, especially in states where the size of villages is small, there the problem is 12 to 14 habitations make a Gram Panchayat in Chhattisgarh, in Madhya Pradesh, in Jharkhand, in Bihar, in parts of West Bengal. Unless and until we ensure habitation-specific articulation of needs, and that's why the Village Health and Sanitation Committees as a platform was visualized, also to try and bring in others who have not only the elected representatives, but also others, self-help groups, women's groups, who have the motivation but not the authority to try and associate with the system. Well, it's early days, 5 years, and that too data is really available to 2008, but hopefully next week we'll have the SRS data for 2009, and informally the information which I have, it's quite encouraging. It's encouraging in the sense that we do hope the infant mortality rate to come down by another 3 to 4 points, maybe more in the rural areas. The stagnation is now in the urban areas. On the maternal mortality, I think it's, while I completely share the apprehensions and concerns about JSY only getting numbers but not the quality, but it also makes a certain, puts pressure, I would say, on getting the supply side right. The UN agencies till last year, if you look at the State of the Children's Report, UNICEF 2009, India's maternal mortality ratio 450. When SRS was reporting 301, they were reporting 450. For the first time, all the UN agencies for 2008, after their technical committees have had their discussions, deliberations, they have accepted a figure of 230 as MMR for India for 2008. The SRS data will be available with us shortly, and we do hope that perhaps we'll be in the range of 210, 215 or so. It is not that the number is acceptable, it's far from it. But now, if you want to reach the MDGs of 28 IMR by 2015, it is not in the realm of the impossible. If you can have a reduction of 3 or 4 points in rural IMR every year, and if you add on to it the home-based newborn care program, which we have now started on a very large scale in partnership with Dr. Abhay Bang's work in Gadchiroli, now that many of the community workers are able to take on skills as well beyond just the community worker or community volunteer role, I am sure that additional facility for home-based care, along with further strengthening of the system, achieving a 5-point reduction in rural MIR is no rocket science, but it will also require simultaneous effort on undernutrition, because more than 50% child deaths in the under 5 age, directly or indirectly, undernutrition also contributes to it. So I think a simultaneous requirement to address undernutrition more directly. On the TFR, total fertility rate, I know the debates in population has been going on and on for a long time. We have had all kinds of views being expressed repeatedly. that no, we have unnecessarily, we gave up the target-free approach. There are some people, without naming them, who have always said, no, we need to, who only feel that women's life is to be sterilized, nothing else. I think this is, if there is something further from the truth, then this is it. 2.9 was the TFR in 2005. In 2008, it had come down to 2.6. We are absolutely certain it would be down further to 2.5 or a little lower than that in 2009. You don't really need to put coercion for sterilization. You need to provide choices. You need to get a functional public system going. End of the day, better results and guaranteed services for family planning with all the diversity of choices is far better than to have something where you only try and focus on women and their sterilization. A whole lot of debate has gone on, but I think if there is anything the data is showing, it is showing that the target-free approach and what we decided in Cairo was the right approach. We need to do much more of that rather than again move back to talking about family planning and talking about, almost a pressure only on one way of the terminal method. I think that's the clear message which comes out from the data. Institutional deliveries, yes, I am quoting the study done by the UNICEF on behalf of them by the ORG. The coverage evaluation survey gives a figure of 73% of institutional deliveries in India compared to 41% reported by the NFHS. The sample is about 50,000 households. The issue to me, the numbers have changed, but that by itself is not enough, because very clearly field studies and insightful studies in JS5, many of them which are presented here, bring out the clear challenges of quality on a very large scale. We need to do much more, and we need to do much more quickly, and we need to get the quality in order much faster. But clearly, the fact that women have come to facilities, the fact that many facilities which did not conduct even normal deliveries earlier have started doing so, the fact that some facilities which were doing only normal deliveries have become equipped to do even cesarean sections now, I think these are some changes we need to take note of. I can mention about the malaria program in particular in Assam, in Orissa. Once you have a functional platform, it does have implications for a lot of other things. The Ashas in Assam are all trained to do the rapid diagnostic kit testing for falciparum malaria. Now that one little provision, one little resource availability can reduce your mortality because of malaria substantially, as has been demonstrated in Assam and a couple of other states. The point I wish to make is the challenges of public health remain, and regulation and a Public Health Act is the need of the hour. Yes, we need far more regulation. Regulation is not a dirty word, but the good way of doing it is the issue that we need to discuss further. The institutional strengthening issue, last sentence I'd like to mention, we have enough evidence of OPDs and IPDs in government hospitals going up substantially across the country. If recent studies, which I happen to see in some of the African countries, are anything to go by, some time series studies have demonstrated that if per capita OPDs and IPDs keep going up,